Hello, and welcome to the Journal Star Sportswriters podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Duvall, joined by my colleagues, Stan Morris, small school football beat writer, Dave Reynolds, large school football beat writer.
Excellent volleyball story this morning, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Yeah. Looking at the popularity of the sport, it's growing. Well, it's Thursday. That normally doesn't happen on this podcast. So we will, instead of recapping last week, we'll start by looking ahead to tomorrow night. Just a reminder, we're on Facebook Live, so if you have any questions, comments, topics you want to throw at us, feel free to leave a comment and we'll get to them. Week 8.
Week 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dave, let's start with you. The big one in the Middle Illini. Maybe not as quite, I don't know, I don't want to say it's lost its luster, but it'll be a good game. Metamora and Washington.
Yeah. It's rare where both teams are in the middle of the conference at this point in the season. Usually one or both of them is at or near the top. Not that they're, bad teams. They're definitely been competitive. It's just not Washington is not the team they were last year, but they're still solid. Metamora's had some injury woes. I think that's kind of hampered their season. But when they play each other, throw everything out. That's
right.
that's the old standby line, and I'm sure it's going to be a dogfight at Babcock Field tomorrow night.
Absolutely. Also in the Middle Illini, Limestone at Morton, Canton at Dunlap, East Peoria at Pekin. Are there any of those that maybe you'll be checking the Twitter feed to see what the update is on those?
I'll be interested in Canton at Dunlap in particular. Dunlap is 5-0 in the league and 6-1 overall. So it's they want to win out, obviously. Canton is fighting for a playoff spot and really needs to win. And Dunlap, as we've mentioned before, has not blown people out this year. And as good as they've been, they've had 3 comeback wins within the conference, another one last week against Limestone. So it's a game that could be competitive all the way through. I think Dunlap will pull it out, but this could be a really good game.
Staying over on the small school side, you have a real good game there in the HOI. Talk about
the HOI, the large side of the conference. You've got Eureka going to Fieldcrest, and that should be a great game. So you got 2 teams that do almost everything well. They can pass the ball well, they can run the ball well, they have great defenses. Fieldcrest is a team that's only given up 34 points all year on their defense, and Eureka's only given up 14 points in the last 4 games. Something's got to give in that game. Mm-hmm. Both of them, it's one of those things. Again, it's going to be a line of scrimmage. It's going to be who wins the battle on the line, who makes the fewest mistakes.
Right. Those
kind of things are going to determine the outcome of that game, and that ought to be interesting to see how it goes. So if Eureka was able to win last year, they won the game last year, but Fieldcrest is coming in awful strong this year. Still state rankings, and so we'll get to those later.
Yeah, we will get to the state rankings later.
Yeah.
Stan, I also wanted to ask you about Week 8. We had DMAC at Tri-Valley. Bloomington Central Catholic's going to Chillicothe to face IVC.
Right.
Princeville travels to Mercer County. A-Town at Farmington. Knoxville at Elmwood. Brimfield. Tremont at Heights. Are there any of those matchups that are intriguing to you?
Mm-hmm. Well, Abington and Avon at Farmington is a little bit. You've got Jacob Tinkman, who's a quarterback there at A-Town, really good quarterback. But, of course, Josh McMillan, you saw a little bit of that game last week.
Yeah,
he went for 8 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns in the first half, threw in for 6. So there'll be the ball will be flying all over the place in Farmington. I'm sure for this weekend. Toby Vallis is back this week. He had a torn retina that he was
scary stuff.
Yeah. So he was kind of laid quite a while, but got the okay to come back in and coach this week. So So that was, Tremont and Heights is kind of, it's a news that's different.
That's kind of intriguing with the injuries that Tremont had last week. Is that going to affect them tomorrow night at all?
It does hurt certainly with Landon Flederer is going to be out there. So he's one of their top defensive backs, Tremont, and then Marcus Gully is, to receive, and Peyton Wilson, a quarterback for Heights. They have that kind of thing going for them, and they're certainly going to look to pass the ball. But Tremont does get Caden Buster. He'll be back this week. It's kind of a scary scene with him being carted off on a stretcher. They just kind of precautionary lower back injury, but everything came out fine, and he's going to be back for the game, so he'll be okay. Nate Wynn, though, kind of got hit to the head, and so he's going to be out. And so was, like I said, Landon Flederer is not only probably one of their best D-backs, but also a great receiver too. So that has some intrigue to it too. And Knoxville going to Elmwood Brimfield. Knoxville's been on a great roll so far this year.
Yeah, Stan mentioned state ranks. We'll hop into those right now. In 6A, Peoria High is still receiving votes. 5A, Dunlap is receiving votes. 4A, IVC is receiving votes. 3A, Princeton remains number 9. Eureka is number 10. And 2A, Fieldcrest is number 1. Knoxville is number 6. And 1A, Anawan Weathersfield is 3. And receiving votes among 1A teams is Princeville. So, you got 2 ranked teams. Stan, you'll be seeing that game. Let's dive into fantasy football. Dave Reynolds, week 7, drops 104.9 points.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does. Wow. Colton Quagliano.
He's not a rookie anymore.
Yeah, Colton Quagliano, he had 57 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 98 passing yards, and a touchdown for 25.6 points. Seth Glatz of Morton, Dave said he thought he was chasing a hot stock, but
it's still hot.
44.1 points. He had 237 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, and he had 24 receiving yards. And Sebastian Hill of Pekin, he had 150 receiving with 2 touchdowns, 22 rushing yards for a touchdown for 35.2 points. I came in second. I almost had 80 points and not even touching Dave. I went with the Washington stack with Brady Klein at quarterback, 73 passing yards and a touchdown, 62 rushing, and 2 touchdowns for 24.85. Cole Watkins was my running back. He had 71 rushing and 2 touchdowns for 19.1. And I also had Sebastian Hill. He gave me 35.2 points. Stan had 60.7 points. Quagliano had that 25.6 points. He had Hunter Gladson from Eureka, who had 72 yards and a touchdown.
Had a touchdown called back on a penalty, too. So that,
all right. That would have helped you out. Yeah. He had 13.2 points. And Corbin Rutledge, Farmington, he had 99 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, good enough for 21.9 points. So through 7 weeks, Dave Reynolds is our leader. He has 440.3 points. I'm a distant second with 347 points, and stands in third at 306.09. So, Dave, week 8, who's your quarterback? Who do you have?
I am going with a young fellow that I saw last week from Limestone, Travis Lutz. Kind of a dark horse pick here, but he threw for, I think, 333 yards.
Wow.
The game I saw, and 4 touchdowns. Again, hot stock.
The hot stock.
Is it will continue another week? They're playing at Morton, so I don't know, but I liked what I saw, and they had some nice schemes and several good receivers on that Limestone team, so they're coming on.
Okay. Stan, who are you going with quarterback this week?
I'm going Matt Lorton, Fieldcrest. He's kind of engineered that offense and over 1,000 yards passing. He's got a couple really nice receivers there to go, and so I'm going with Matt.
I'm going to follow the Dave Reynolds philosophy. I'm chasing that hot stock. Josh McMillan.
You just decided that just now, right?
It doesn't get much hotter than that.
Yeah.
Wait till see what I pick.
8 touchdowns for Josh last week. I asked. He was asked after the game, did you know you had 8 touchdowns? He said, I had 8 touchdowns. He was genuinely surprised that he had 8 touchdowns. So I'm going with Josh. Dave, let's bounce back to you. Who's your running back this week?
I don't believe I've used Chris Dillon yet.
You have not.
So the Notre Dame tailback, I think, is he's been solid all year, over 900 yards rushing. So he's my pick.
He's a bruiser. Stan, how about you? Who's your running back?
I mean, I got to go with the hot stock, right? we'll keep riding Seth Glatz. Let's go with Seth.
I think he's up for it.
Yeah.
Stan, I'm in your camp.
You're
I'm
gonna
going.
do the same thing,
I'm
aren't
going
you?
Seth.
Yeah.
All right. Wide receiver, Dave.
I've got Ashton Everding from Morton.
Okay.
Had a nice week last week. He's a really good athlete, and I think he's due for a big one.
All right. Stan, how about you? Who's your wide receiver?
I'm going to ride Dave's coattail, and I'll go Sebastian Hill.
Sebastian Hill.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to go Corbin Rutledge. Let's see if he can repeat his performance. Going to go with the Farmington stack. All right, we're going to take it all the way back to week 7 now. We're going to do one thing, one stat, quote, note, something interesting, whatever, that you found from week 7. Stan, let's start with you.
All right, how about a number -4? That's total yards that Fieldcrest gave up last week and against Ridgeview and Lexington, the co-op there. -4 yards.
Wow.
They held them to -16 rushing and 12 yards passing winning 43-0. That's a pretty stout defense.
I'd say so. Dave, how about you? What's your one thing?
I'm going to go with the number 5, which is Peoria Notre Dame's winning streak at the moment. After starting the season 0-2, the Irish have been good, and Ben Corey, who broke his thumb in the first quarter of the first game, has come back and had just a really good season for them, particularly defensively. He's been their top tackler and forced the most turnovers for the defense. And he's returned to quarterback.
Oh, wow.
He'd been a wing back during those weeks when they didn't, his thumb didn't really allow him to be quarterback, but he's back in the saddle. Joey Jokis got hurt last week, and so Corey took over for him, and he'll be back starting quarterback again this week. The last 4 games, the Irish defensively have outscored their opponents 162-26. So they are getting it done defensively.
Wow. Well, my number is 3. It's losing seasons for Metamore coach Pat Ryan in his 30-year career. In 91, he went 3-6. In 2013, he went 4-5. And in 2017, he went 4-5. And the Redbirds are potentially, with a loss to Washington, would give Coach Ryan his 4th losing season in a 30-year career.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. All right, let's just touch on week 7. Stan, let's start with you. Is there anything on the small school side? I know you were over. You saw Eureka Tremont. Any of the other games or anything that stood out to you?
Well, IVC continuing to roll there. That was, another tough road test for them, and they just keep passing all those tough tests that they've had going up on the road in a strong conference year in and year out. St. Joe beating St. Joe 33-12, and Alex Merlot and company just continue to do well there. And a tough loss for DMAC, losing. They had a win going into the final 13 seconds. I think Fisher scored in the final 13 seconds to to give DMEC a loss there. But you know that Eureka Tremont game that I was at, it was 41-6 final, but it wasn't wasn't a 41-6. I mean, it was 7-6 in the third quarter, and then things just turned around so quickly, and you know that momentum, how momentum can take you, and Eureka got that momentum, got 2 quick touchdowns right away, and that just kind of they rode that to a really impressive win, and so yeah. It was.
Dave, how about you? Was there a game or two? I know you were over. You saw Dunlap.
I did, and Dunlap overcame some real adversity. Had 2 kids out and a quarterback who hadn't practiced all week, Chatterton. And then he comes out and throws 4 touchdown passes after not taking a snap all week. So that's
bruised shoulder.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then was it Erickson, their receiver, who was out?
Erickson, and then a lineman who goes both ways. I can't remember his name now, but the lineman's back this week. Erickson was questionable. I'm sure Chatterton will be fine. But that was impressive. The other game I wanted to mention, we've touched on Pekin and what the Dragons have done, starting 0-3 and now in the midst of a winning streak. They went to Metamora and won 35-14, and that's the first time Pekin has ever won at Metamora.
Wow!
So that's a pretty big statement win for the Dragons, and as they continue to roll.
All right, let's move on to picks. All of us went 3-0 last week. Overall, Dave and Stan are both 17-4. I'm at 15-6. The first game we got this week is Metamora at Washington. Metamora is on a 3-game losing streak. Washington won in 2018, 30-15. Stan, who's your pick?
I will go with Washington on that one. 28-21.
28-21. Dave, how about you?
Yeah, I've got to go with the Panthers as well. They're at home. They're playing better right now. They've kind of controlled this series of late. This has been an interesting series historically. I went back to all the games that have been played, and Metamora holds a 31-27 edge overall.
Okay.
But the series has been very streaky, and Washington has won 5 of the last 7, so the Panthers are, kind of in control of it of late, and I think they will continue to do so on Friday.
Panthers 21-17. That's my pick.
I forgot to give you a score.
Give me a score, Dave.
36-14.
36-14. Okay. All right, Dave, let's stay with you. Eureka is at Fieldcrest. Eureka is scoring 35.6 points a game. Fieldcrest is allowing 4.9.
I think defense will win out in this one, particularly at home for Fieldcrest, 21-10.
21-10. Stan, how about you?
Cade Gold another field goal, huh?
Yes.
I think Fieldcrest is just may get the nod there for me. I will say, I'm going to say just like 14-7. I'm going to make it, one of those. You got 2 great offenses and 2 great defenses. It does seem like the defenses just kind of control things, and you see that a lot of times in the playoffs where you see teams were scoring 50 points a game and they get into a really good defensive battle and it's 14-7 or 10-7. So, yeah, I'll say.
I'm going the opposite. I'm going Fieldcrest 35-31, and I'm also giving Cade Gold a field goal. All right, the last one, the Rams. Manual 0-7, 0-6 in the league at Urbana, 1-6, 1-5. Manual's last win was in Week 8 of last year, 44-16.
Over Urbana.
Yep. Dave, who do you have?
Well, I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to take the Rams. I think it's going to be a close game. I think those kids have played hard all season, and they've gotten a little bit better. And I think this is a game they've had circled on their calendar, and I think they're gonna pull it off. 22-20.
22-20. Stan, how about you?
I'm going the same way. I think Manuel has shown some good signs throughout the weeks and showing that they can play. And I'm going to go 21-12.
21-12. Gentlemen, as you can see, it's already typed out on my sheet. I have Manuel as well. 27-20.
Man, I thought I was going to create some space here.
Nope. So those are our picks for Week 8. Be sure to pick up Friday's Journal Star or hop online and check out all the picks for all the metro area games. All right, before we close out, we got 45 seconds on the clock. Stan, go ahead.
Well, I'll give a nod to Princeville. I mean, we haven't talked a whole lot about Princeville, but here they are, 6-1, and Carter Johnson really having a great year running the ball for them, and they've been passing the ball more than they ever have. So just a kind of a shout out to Princeville being where they are right now, and I'll be featuring Knoxville this week and just what they've been able to do over the course of the last 7 weeks. They were kind of people thought that they weren't really going to be that great this year. You know, they lost a lot of starters, a lot of 3-year starters from last year's team, and so the people thought that maybe they're not going to be as good as they have been in the past, but they showed a lot of people wrong. So they've been obviously on a big roll this year. So
right,
that'll be this weekend.
All right, Dave, your 45 seconds starts now.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Peoria High yet, and they go on the road to Bloomington this week. Not a pushover game by any means. Peoria High lost this game last year, but had won the previous 3 meetings. And I think the Lions will keep rolling. They're, as we know, 5-1 in the league, 1 game behind Normal Community, which kind of sets up next week's big showdown between Normal Community and Peoria High at the stadium. I'm sure we'll talk about that next week.
Absolutely.
But that'll be a big one. So it'll be good to see the Lions go on the road and face some adversity this week.
Okay. So, Stan, you have Knoxville preview coming. Dave, what do you have?
I have Notre Dame story.
Notre Dame
it's going
story
in tomorrow's paper, and
then
also a podcast with Notre Dame head coach.
In about an hour and 25 minutes. Be sure to tune back in. It'll be on Facebook Live. Pat Armstrong and Dave Reynolds for our annual Thursday, or our weekly Coaches Corner. Be sure to follow all of our coverage online. pjstar.com/sports. Pick up a paper. Go to Casey's. Grab some breakfast pizza.
Are they one of our sponsors now?
Yeah. Well, we got Starbucks. We got LaCroix.
Great breakfast pizza, by the way.
We got Casey's.
Doesn't get much better.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at PJ Star Sports. Join the conversation. #PGS Preps. Stan, you'll be out in
heading to
Minonk for Eureka Fieldcrest. I'll be in Washington. Hopefully I get to run into the Bachelor Colton Underwood. Dave, you'll be covering state golf on Saturday?
Yes, you're doing the state finals on Saturday down in Bloomington Normal.
Okay. Yep. I think we'll have one more reporter deployed. I think maybe Steve Stein will probably be with Pekin. But for Dave Reynolds, Stan Morris, I'm Adam Duvall. Bye for now.